Welcome to Deadhaus Whispers.
Greetings, everyone. I am Calypso, and welcome to another episode of Deadhaus Whispers. Love being here with you guys. And like always, I am joined by my other host, Faceless Mike.
Greetings, hello, and welcome.
And how are you today, Mike? Like usual, how are you?
How am I? Very tired. It has been a long week, but it has been an eventful one, hasn't it? Did y'all
Yes,
get a
it
chance
has.
to check out the radio play? If you haven't, go check that out now, and you can watch us after.
Yes.
Because it's about to be spoilers all over the shop.
Don't worry, the last episode is officially 35 minutes long. You can crank through that and then come back here.
Yes.
But previously...
Last day of the 12th month, 220 years after Amarax pledged himself to Deadhaus.
is where we pick up on this episode, The Judged. I love that we've consistently had banger after banger after banger after banger of an episode. It's fan-friggin-tastic. But this episode is a huge another lore dump. It's a big old lore dump.
Only for the first most part.
Yes, most for the most part, it's a lore dump.
People wanted to know about Deadhaus. Now you know about
this
Deadhaus.
is how you know about Deadhaus. This is your learning about. This is your school on Deadhaus. And I like how within this episode, it's a cool thing. I didn't notice this at first. I had to go back and listen to it. But Alaric in this episode has now spent roughly a month with Amarax. The previous episode, The Contract, picks up...
First day of the 12th month, 220 years after Thacia manned the Deadhaus gate.
Yes.
And then this one is the last day, so he's been with him for about a month. And Alaric learns more from Amarax about the factions of Deadhaus with this. So it's literally just, hey, we have the red one and the blue one and the green one and the purple one, and it's really cool. It's
But
more...
everyone's been bothering me for ages to want to know. It's like, oh, how does this work in Deadhaus? And how does that work in Deadhaus? Well, now you know. Well, you've a good idea of the overarching systems, all tied beautifully in pace by the Pale Doctor.
Yes, we have the
we'll get to that.
So cool. We'll get to that. So it starts off with, we're actually talking about the military here in the beginning of this. And normally, if you guys high post-production listeners, it's just going to be us talking, because if I edited everything in post about this episode, you might as well just listen to the episode. So we learn about the military of Deadhaus, and they are known as the Shambling Hordes, which is the coolest freaking name for an undead military like ever.
And I get to scream for the Horde once again.
For the Horde. And the bulk of it is actually made up of the reanimated dead. And like they're basically zombies if we really want to go there.
Anything picked up off the battlefield, because like later on we learn that when dead are resurrected, some are sentient, some aren't really. I'm assuming it's got to do with the level of damage taken during death. But that's the whole thing of, if you think of Game of Thrones, is probably the better,
like the White Walkers
example, when they all get killed and your man just goes whoop, and they all just get up off the ground.
It's the coolest.
You know? You've got a lich like Amarax standing in the background and like mutilate half a battlefield, and it's just back up again. Back up, boys. No rest.
It'd be funny if I would love a gosh, who's Sir Roderick? Who's the freaking character from Medieval?
The King's Champion, Sir Daniel Fortescue.
Sir Daniel Fortescue, thank you. So it'd be great if there was a Sir Daniel.
I couldn't let that go because I knew that. It was on the tip of my tongue, but I couldn't remember.
I would love a little Sir Daniel in the background or whatever for one of these. That'd be great.
You know, something with Apocalypse's level of liking Easter eggs and Dennis loving Easter eggs, I wonder, could we get a Daniel? Even if
it was a license-free Sir Daniel, you know. I think that'd be good. So liches, how it works is liches tear souls and bound them to corpses. Most are aimless or mindless, but they can compel the souls within them to battle. So liches literally control the souls of their victims, or
which lore accurate for a lich.
Lore accurate for the lich, because they use it like use human souls as batteries and everything else like that. We also learned that attached to the shambling horde, more commonly besides the mindless and aimless ones, is the revenants and ghouls, and they are attached to the shambling hordes because ghouls like to scavenge the battlefield, and revenants occasionally feed them with their scavenged bodies. So it's kind of like you have one gang cleaning up the mess, just like a lawnmower of chomping on the dead.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool. We got our bot. We got our first bot.
We got our first bot. Jaina, can you grab that for me? That's how you know we're popular.
Yeah. And we also learned that the shambling hordes are the last resort for Deadhaus.
Yep.
The giant
to work from the
army of the undead is the last resort, which is really cool rather than just throwing it out there in the beginning. 60% of the time you get judged every time.
Yes, you do.
That's good. And because they prefer to work from the shadows, and their shadowy organization.
Because I'd imagine Calypso, right? The reason you've gone that path is there is an overwhelming might to Deadhaus, but as Amarax mentions, they're spread thin, which I understand. Yeah. That means, okay, so there's a lot of battle going on. But secondly, for a lich to command a massive army of dead, I'm sure expends an extortionate amount of magic. And if you've many moving that's why I could see it being a last resort,
Thank you, Jane. Yeah, no, I could totally see that as being a last resort. Like, oh, we only got, so and so many people. Let's try this easier. Let's do.
We've only got 9 liches that are like not busy right now, and like 3 of them are a pain in the butt, and 2 of them probably won't do what they're told. And of that now, just send in the vampires.
Yeah, there's we'll get to that in a second. But I do like how liches are so nonchalant. Like the trials and tribulations and troubles of Deadhaus really aren't their thing, even though they are a part of Deadhaus, which is cool.
Not my problem.
Yeah, exactly.
How is that
sounds
my
like
problem?
Sounds like a you problem, not a me problem. So they prefer to work from the shadows, and they have the Darklight Enclave, which is another baller name for a secret, stealthy organization. The Darklight Enclave are information gatherers or assassins, mostly made up of wraiths.
So DHI 6 instead of MI6, it's Deadhaus DHI 6.
They are also guardians of the boundaries of Deadhaus. So if you're walking along the border or something, your chances are you might run into a wraith or one of the Darklight Enclave.
They say if you've seen one of the undead, the lich has seen you first.
Yeah.
Or a wraith,
super cool.
The wraith. What did they call the wraiths? The Watchers on the Walls or something?
Something like that. The Darklight Enclave. We also learned that throwing it back to the earlier seasons, the Darklight Enclave marked Alaric, and that is who sent the wraith to kill him 2 years ago. They were afraid that Alaric would find out about Deadhaus from the binding of the eyes that him and Amarax had. Mm-hmm. And then we learned that in a way that kind of happened because he saw through Amarax's eyes, and we got the flashback from the lore stone, which we'll get to that also in a second. Send out the DH6 team. That sort of, so the Darklight Enclave were kind of right. Because it was an oversight that Amarax just
that was the part. He said he told them that they marked him, and he said, no, you don't need to. I can take care of him. They're like, but you can see through his eyes. Yes, but then he can see through your eyes. No, he doesn't know how to do that. Yeah, but he could figure it out. No, he won't do that. And then when they went to go assassinate him, he said, Amarax was, and I quote, momentary lapse in judgment. Sorry, it probably won't happen again. In the most Monty Python-esque bit ever. It's like, sorry about that.
Then the
momentary lapse in judgment.
Yeah, then we move on to the next faction is the Faceless Court, which is their other thing of subterfuge, because Deadhaus does prefer subterfuge first. So it's like the Darklight Enclave is first, I believe, and then the Faceless Court is first. Darklight is like their last option,
So
and
no,
then they send in the shambling horde,
the
right?
Darklight Enclave seems to be literally the CIA version. They're the watchers and the walls and stuff like that. They're like SEAL Team 6. They're the
Yeah.
enforcer type things from the shadows. Whereas the Faceless Court seems to be like the guys that pretend to be humans and go in and like influence policies with kings and all. Oh, don't invade them, or maybe that's a slight. You need to go invade those ones. You know, think of the way I envisioned it was like in Lord of the Rings. You know, Wormtongue.
Yeah,
Remember, he was like,
yeah. I was actually thinking about this, that the Faceless Court might have had a hand, suspectedly, in the fall of Thacia
yeah,
with the Awakened. Like, perhaps it was the Faceless Court who warned them of the Awakened in the first place, because the
maybe,
Awakened is...
maybe not. Although they did point out, Amarax did point out that they were the reason why Sigstrand didn't aid Beller.
Yes,
They
and
were
why
told that, oh, you don't need to help them.
Beltlands
And
or something
Thacia
fell.
came in and helped instead.
Yeah. Oh, and for anybody wondering, the Faceless Court is an assembly of vampires that infiltrate.
So Darklight
the
Enclave mostly rates, although he
Mostly.
suspects there might be others involved because they're that secretive. They spy on everyone, including Deadhaus, and no one knows anything about them.
Yeah.
Versus the Faceless Court, who are mostly vampires. There probably is other ones in there. They haven't said it is exclusive, but it is mostly vampires because, you know, they want to hang around in the posh upper class castles and stuff like that.
Yeah. They infiltrate the enemies of Deadhaus. They work together. They do work together with the Darklight Enclave on something. So it's like you have the Faceless Court being like, hey, I'm gonna do this thing. Can you go do that thing for me? You know, like get me info on this so I can do this. And
Faceless Court was all over that. Glimmer that person here, bribe that person there, whisper sweet paranoia into this person here. Yep.
Masters of Subversion. Sigstrand, as you said, was one of the places that fell to the Faceless Court because it was their doing. They manipulated the war with that whole aspect. And then that's
we also have
the Court of Vampires.
We know exactly where that comes because don't we have someone from Sigstrand?
Yeah, Alaric's from Beller, right? Who's from Sigstrand?
A certain vampire.
Oh yeah, we do. Duh, Zoran. Yes, Zoran. Wow, I gotta. I'll throw the Bible in there for people. So then we get into which I think is actually really cool. Corpus Artificum. They are the only faction in Deadhaus named in Ustilian, and they are the Craftsman Guild. They build houses, weapons, etc., etc. They're the history keepers as well. Kind of have a bit of everything. Any undead can join as long as they are capable of crafting or like writing and being historical and stuff like that.
Yes, it's really weird that they're the builders, but also the historians. It's kind of a weird thing to lump together because you'd have imagined that was for the liches, but then I was thinking the liches really don't care about history unless it's relevant to what they're studying and what they're trying to specialize in. Like they don't care about the geopolitical situation of like Beller, Sigstrand, Ustilia, any of these places. They don't care. Like, unless it is something relevant to what they're doing, they don't care. So keeping an awful long and detailed account of historical measures would actually be tactically important, though, for Deadhaus.
I thought so too. I thought liches would be the history keepers as well.
Building monuments is celebrating history. That's true.
I figured, but with how liches operate, I figured they obviously don't. We'll get to that in a second, though.
I'm totally convinced liches just get other undead to build their crap for them.
Probably.
There's no way they get their hands dirty.
You do that for me, please. Deadhaus keeps history in stone, as many ancient cultures did before. And they use a really cool material.
Go on.
Ivitanium, unobtainium. Ivitanium.
A material known as avitanium.
It's that big black rock that the obelisks are made out of.
Yes. They have waystones and lore stones. Waystones are doors between worlds. To step through, according to Amarax, to step through a waystone is to leave Malorum behind, and you enter a waystone. You enter either one of the celestial planets or planes, like Haruspex or whatever, or someplace
Rowena.
else.
We're
Rowena.
I shouldn't have to tell any of you, but you totally know that when Alaric went to that dark place underground and he got confronted by a banshee, that totally had to be Rowena.
Oh, 100%. Totally.
Not
I mean, it
Obsidian.
had the triangle door or whatever too, right? So, that's a thing.
Sounds like a great game mechanic too.
It does. Does each passageway from a waystone have a different looking door
That's
to
a really good question.
symbolize, like kind of like Nightmare Before Christmas, to symbolize where you're going? You know,
well, I could see that. So, like
triangle.
Novasol would be like a flame portal.
Yeah,
like
something
the
like that.
Deadhaus would be like this spirally, like kind of like the way it's like fog and fluid all in one.
Yeah, something, and like maybe they're each compacted by whatever element or thing that planet is made of, or that realm is made of. But then you can go someplace else, quote unquote, which is, you know, I wonder what that someplace else could be or where it could be. And then you have lore stones. Oh wait, no. When from the Corpus Artificum, when in Ivitanium is returned, Corpus shapes them into obelisks that hold records, and that's how you get lore stones. An injection of magic activates them, and you gaze into them from the past, like watching a movie. This is what happened to Alaric when he saw the Burning Wing get defeated through Amarax's eyes. He was looking at Amarax was looking through a lore stone. The trick here with lore stones is they have to be true. There can be no lies. They have to be 100% the truth.
2 points to that. Number one, another great game mechanic. Number two, isn't that a really interesting way to guarantee that the history being written by the victor doesn't exactly spoil the...
Yeah. Deadhaus is... Oh, yeah. And then we get Deadhaus. We get into the more... how they operate. We have the factions, and now we get how they operate. That's a cool idea. Yes, it is. Mike, is there any chance we enter a waystone to somewhere we can get the Stargate tunnel as a loading screen? Oh, I mean, that'd be cool.
That's a cool idea. Sounds like something for the cash shop right there. That's it.
Yeah. So Deadhaus is a religious superstructure, and they operate under the Pale Doctrine. What those laws are, we do not know.
Overseen by
the Death's Head Coven, which is 12 banshees, 12 specifically, and they are called the rituals or the law. So the Pale Doctrine holds the rituals.
Death's Head, huh?
The Death's Head Coven, 12 banshees, oversees the law. When an undead violates the rituals, the Pale Doctrine is when the banshees will leave their temples. It's the only time the banshees leave their temples. And when that happens, reprisal
Someone
is
broke
immediate.
The law.
Yes.
I must go. Someone broke the law.
You are struck down to a lower rung on the caste system if you violate the Pale Doctrine. So they don't kill you because you can't die again.
We didn't talk about the caste system.
So, no, we didn't.
There's three types of undead. At first, there is
the sovereign. I think that's the highest one.
Oh, you're starting at the top. Yeah.
I'm starting at the top because that's just how my notes are.
The sovereign are higher undead who are intelligent and have amassed great power or influence in some fashion. So I'd imagine, like, as you said, Zoran. So him being like, I wouldn't say he's a ruler in Zigzrand because I'm not too sure of that, but he's clearly enough to influence stuff. So he would be a sovereign because he's sentient and he's powerful.
Yeah, they sort of carry authority. The sovereigns sort of carry like authority. Beneath that rung, number 2 is the sentient. And they are all protected. They are protected. The whole thing is here, no undead may harm another that is sentient. So even if you're part of the shambling horde, and you're just like a mindless walking thing, you are still protected by these rules, by being,
because otherwise it'd be chaos. It'd be chaos. You need to have a rule of law in that system.
And then below them is the servitor. So sentient are just like regular undead, like ghouls would be
undead that have
sentient.
a mind of their own, at least, that can think and can understand.
Yeah. And then below that is the servitors, and those are the mindless undead. Those are those who are too simple to be sentient. So, but that doesn't mean that even servitors can't not become sentient. Eventually,
everyone can theoretically go up the ladder. Yes. I say theoretically because it's probably very, very difficult. But the cool part of the rule that they had there is you are not allowed to harm another undead. But if a sentient harms or destroys a servitor, they owe a debt to that servitor's owner. Whereas if a servitor damages a sentient or someone, they're not punished, although they probably are, but it's their master, whoever controls them, is the one that's at fault and is the one who's punished.
Yeah.
So you can't be getting your little underlings to do your dirty work for you.
Sovereign, rare. Oh yeah, it's very rare that
servitors sentient, but could a sentient possibly lose their Yes, that's what it said. You can have your sentience stripped from you.
Yeah. Very rare the servitors become sentient, and then they get protection. Though through the violation of the rituals, you lose your title or will.
Yes.
So by defying the will of the Darklight Enclave, Amarax has broken the rituals. Only he hasn't been discovered yet, which is a really like cheeky little.
Although I question, has he? Because didn't the Wraith go after Alaric?
Yeah. So it's like,
what happened there? What happened there? There's more to that. I want to know this.
Yeah, there's got to be. He's got to be doing something. Amarax has plans within plans. You know.
Of course he does.
And then we get, speaking of Amarax, we actually get really cool, more like science on the lore, more science on the Lich, of how Liches actually work. So Lich's memory specifically works different than a normal human. A normal human brain, we have reflexes imprint on memory. So
we have squishy pink brain.
We have squishy pink brain.
Some of us slightly more smooth than others.
Yes. Lich's memory is a function of conscious will, which is so fucking cool.
I'd like to think if I was a Lich, I would live just out of spite.
Yeah,
my conscious will would be spite.
Let's see. So brains like consciousness. Oh, and what Liches want to remember, they remember everything is magically controlled. So they're just a huskless corpse. They are just like a ball of magical energy.
As Alaric says, Amarax doesn't have a brain. His skull is hollow.
Yes, his skull is hollow.
Because it's literally just a corpse being puppeted by Amarax.
Yeah, he binds his memory, his consciousness with everything is sustained through magic. So yeah, it's like, and in order to work his brain, he can willfully get rid of certain knowledge things to make way for other knowledge things, to make way for other memories or info or whatever.
They encode it into magic, and anything that they don't need, they just forget. And if they get something that they don't need anymore, they can just release that to make more hard drive space for the rest,
Yeah, exactly. He's just like formatting his SSD every time. So we also get
put that in the backup file.
They were a scholar who was told they had not enough time in life. They already live out in spite. Yes. A revenant's consciousness will is constantly fueled by hatred. Yeah, that's probably a thing. Yeah. The thing with Amarax is he's been a Lich for so long and he just doesn't care. And he's so nonchalant about things. He doesn't care if he was a chick or a dude.
That's what he said. He said these are trivial methods. He doesn't.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, he doesn't remember if he was male or female. He says these are methods or mechanisms of procreation. They're irrelevant to the dead.
Yeah.
He says he doesn't even remember because he released all those memories long ago to make room for other stuff. He's like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Which I think is a really cool way, because that way you get taken care of everyone, because anyone can be a dead because they're dead.
Yeah, exactly. Anyone can be dead. And I like how it totally falls in line with, I guess, how his character works and maybe how other Liches work, where the only thing I care about is knowledge. Please let me learn more. Let me understand and yada. He's like the world's greatest student.
Yep. Well, that's what a Lich would need to be. Just to even pass the barrier to become a Lich. you would probably need to go beyond in that level. They need power. Knowledge is power. The more knowledge they have, the more power they have. Therefore,
Amarax was offered leadership within Deadhaus, but declined because he could not be bothered. And specifically, I want to say he was offered a role to be one of the Pentarchy. The Pentarchy, right? Pentarchy, one of the Pentarchy, 5 rulers who decide Deadhaus as a whole. So you have the underlying rules of the sects of Deadhaus and the factions and everything else like that. But then above all of that, above on the high table, if you will, you have the Pentarchy, who are just the 5 specific rulers.
Well, you've got the 5
some
different...
of them might be liches.
You've got the 5... You've got the 5 factions there on it, right? So you've got straight up in the beginning, you've got the Faceless Court.
Yep.
You've got the Dark-Legged Enclave. You've got the Corpus Artificum.
You've got Death's Head Coven,
and the Shambling Horde.
So so perhaps he was offered one of those, but which one we do not know.
So I still believe the oldest type of undead is the Revenant, possibly.
Yeah. And then because of this way the liches work and just how they don't generally care about Deadhaus, even though they're a part of it, is Alaric plans on destroying the liches first as a strategy to bring down Deadhaus.
They're isolationists.
So that's
they don't really bother with Deadhaus, and that's what he's saying. How many could we destroy before Deadhaus would even notice? It's like he forgets one key part to that, though.
What?
Like, yes, you could probably destroy quite a lot of liches before Deadhaus would even bother and realize what had happened. How, though? Destroying a lich is no easy feat. It's like, oh, you just destroy their phylacteries. Cool. Where and what are they?
Yeah. Total favorite. I still believe the oldest.
These ones are smart enough to cheat death, to wed death, to live and exist beyond death. Do you think they just have their phylacteries in a nice little order on the shelf in their crypt? Come on.
I think it would be great. I think it would be cool. Maybe Amarax too. Maybe other liches too. If the lich has phylacteries, multiple ones probably, but then consciously forgets what they are.
Yeah, because so it can't even be tortured, or
where
psychically,
they are, so he can't be tortured
or psychically. Even if it was psychic through some kind of magic that it was stripped from his mind, he wouldn't even know. First, how do you destroy their phylactery? Then you learned how. Where is it? And can they have more than one? Yeah. Well, Amarax said that in one of the other ones. It's like some have phylactery, some of them have more than one. There's
a quest in Dragon Age Origins. I think it's the Wizard School, and you have to stop. Oh gosh, one of your wizard friends is trying to become a lich, and there is a lich in the school, and you have to stop the lich, and you have to destroy the phylactery. But it's not just a phylactery. There's 7 of them, or something. With that quest, and you have to go around the school looking for the phylacteries. I mean, they're just blood vials in this, so to make it easier for game design. But yeah, I think that's really cool. Plus, I mean, in D&D, can't you be a freaking lich and have multiple phylacteries too? I don't know. I don't play D&D.
And what happens if you made a phylactery out of an unbelievably durable and almost impossible to destroy sword, and then you went and threw it in a lake, and then you remove the memory of ever having done that?
Behold, the sword of power, Excalibur. Forged when the world was young, and bird and beast and flower were one with man, and death was but a dream.
Yeah. What if you did that? What if you turned one of your phylacteries? Oh, well, now that would be a bad strategy. Turning your phylactery into a human. Here, little baby, I'm going to turn you into a phylactery. Grow up and wander around the world, but then that would destroy your phylacteries. That's a bad idea. No one quote me on that.
Now I'm starting to think across all different things, and we were talking about 40k before, and I'm thinking, what if someone made the God Emperor a phylactery?
Yeah. Is Voldemort a lich, and is Harry Potter one of his phylacteries? Spoilers.
Take a waystone to a random moon out in a random solar system. Good luck finding that one.
Yeah, right. Here, off into space you go. And then after all that deep knowledge that is imparted it onto Alaric. Amarax decides to send Alaric on a quest. We get our first quest
Fetch
line,
quest!
guys. It's a fetch quest.
Well,
Here, kill the 5 rats in the dungeon and then go fetch me a stone.
Our first quest was technically dealing with that little girl that we do not know what happened.
Yes, that was Alaric's first quest. That wasn't a quest. That was just a waypoint marker.
Event quest. Got it.
Yeah. So he sends Alaric out to get a soul prism, which is another cool thing for a name. And it must be extracted from a pillar of Malorum, which is deep beneath the earth. So he has to go and get the ghouls. If
that's a soul prism, is that what they use to get the stuff into the remember the big core he got, the
crucible core? Yeah, maybe it could be,
because it's the essence that got out of that, and the Lich takes the essence. But then soul prism, why would you need a prism for souls? It would be to filter them through something, to put them in. So is that how we get the stuff into that? Did Amarax make that? The thing Alaric got?
Well, now we know that,
because how else would Alaric have known what that was and where to get it?
I know. So perhaps here's the thing.
I totally believe Alaric had a soul prism already. Oh, here's one I got earlier. Here you go.
Dark light, shambling, revenants. Oh my God. Corpus Artificum. There we go. Corpus Artificum. Perhaps they made the crucibles, and with the Lich's help, threw the souls in there, obviously.
Is that what the
soul prisms? Yeah, could be it. Could be. Where was my notes again? Scrolling down. Sorry, guys. Okay. So he has to go deep beneath the earth, and the only way he can do that is if he goes and asks the ghouls for help. So he has to go to the mound.
He didn't need to ask the ghouls for help. That was totally done for Amarax being an a-hole.
Oh, that was could be. It could be. But so Alaric sends him to the mound, and he's like, just, say my name, it'll get you into the club, dude. They know me.
Don't worry, it's good. It's good. It's literally the guy that gets sent in the mafia movie. Go to the back of the casino. They know my name. It's like, he owes us money.
Yeah, exactly. So Alaric flits away in typical Hollywood vampire fashion. Typical like speed fast person thing where like he, everything is going by me so quickly, I cannot stop to smell the roses. It is 1,000,000 miles an hour. But if it ain't broke, don't fix that mechanic, you know what I mean? And then Alaric reaches the mound and notices the horrible stench. I love this little detail. So up until now, Alaric has still consciously been breathing because it's a human habit you just can't let go of, right? So he's still breathing. The moment that he reaches the mound, and before he even steps into it, when he's still outside the front gate, the stench, the horrible, grotesque stench of whatever it is, finally stops him from breathing normally.
One, you'll smell it before you see it.
Yeah.
Number two, it's like, he keeps on to breathing until it becomes inconvenient and quickly stops.
It's a great, it's a great little detail. It's funny that it took the ghoul's stench this long. It's funny that this is what allowed him to stop breathing. Just the ghoul's disgusting stench. It's great. And then we get to the really juicy, good stuff. Like, the lore dump stuff is great.
Ew,
then we get to the really, So Alaric enters the mound and he meets a new ghoul.
This ghoul was clad in bizarre armor. As it drew closer, I realized that this armor was in fact part of the ghoul itself. Its bones had overgrown much of its body like a chitinous shell. Spiny protrusions jutted out along its back, and much of its head was encased in something like a second overgrown skull that flared into a crest towards the back.
And he asks the ghoul, hi, my name's Alaric. My friend Amarax sent me. I need to go down here, please let me enter. And the ghoul is like, no, who are you?
Here to help Deadhaus.
Not welcome.
No one enters the mound, only food.
Yeah,
only ghouls.
Only ghouls and food enters the mound. So he's like, I know Amarax. And he's like, that's not good enough. So then he asks the ghoul for his name, and he's like, "What is your name?" And he's like, "We are Ghoul." But then he reiterates it, and he says,
It said, not looking at me as it moved. Which ghoul are you? I reworded the question, remembering the way the other was named.
We are Bogul.
He remembers what he said to Fall.
Which ghoul are you? And then he says Bo Ghoul. So now we have Bo here as a new pretty great character. But the difference is
and Falk Ghoul, so we're starting to get a naming scheme.
Yeah. Alaric enters and meets new ghoul where Falk Ghoul was where Falk Ghoul was covered in like tattered flesh and like bacon bits like streaming off of him and everything. This ghoul, Bo here is armored. And it's so cool.
Clearly a tank.
Yes, clearly a tank. Like the moment that my brain pictured like a big chungus of a freaking ghoul. And just like massive. So the armor was part of the ghoul. Its bones seem to have taken over its body. So he's literally wearing bone armor. And the description, like for the helmet, it's like this sort of Rock's helmet that wraps around his face. Then you have another mouth, very like xenomorph style is what I got from it. I don't know if anybody else got that vibe, but that's what my brain immediately thought of. Oh my gosh,
I was thinking like Predator. Remember
Predator? Oh yeah, Predator. Predator is good too. Yeah, that's good too. He's a big deep voice Bogle. And then Alaric tries to call Amarax, but he doesn't answer. I love that.
I could really use your help here.
Yeah, he's like, "Hey, hello, I need you." And they just doesn't answer. Like, what an asshole! Pick up the phone. And the ghoul's like, "You are not welcome." Alaric is stubborn, and he's like, so the ghoul starts walking away. And he's like, "Wait for me, hello!" And that's when he asks him his name. Alaric tells Bo that he knows Falk, and that Falk would be distraught if anything happens to Alaric. And Bo asks,
Friend of Falk Ghoul.
The ghoul brought its jaws mere inches from my face, and I could see a crude symbol of 3 curved lines etched into its white mask, just between the eyeless pits that lay beneath. Yes, great friends! He would be distraught if you were to harm me.
Distraught.
Angry, upset, sad. It tilted its head in the other direction, clicking deep in its throat as it considered what I had said.
We will see.
Starts dragging him by the leg. Just, okay, come with me. So rather than walking, he starts dragging him. Alaric, says, "I can walk on my own." He's like, "No." And then we get a really cool...
When they're going past the other ghouls, and you just hear that...
Yeah, I was about to get to there. We get the ghoul communication system. So throughout the traveling, ghoul speak. So going further and further down into the mound, Alaric starts to notice that it's sloping. That they're sloping down, and every single time Bo passes another ghoul, he does the clicks and the clicks and gurgles as ghouls speak.
It would pass us into tunnels. I could hear them sniffing in my general direction. Then they would click in their throats. The armored ghoul would click back, and they would move on. After a few such encounters, I recognized a sort of pattern in the clicks. Those of the passing ghouls were rapid and fluctuating, but the armored ghoul always made the same sound back. A throaty hiss followed by 3 clicks. I suspect they were communicating something. Question and answer. I noticed too that the tunnels were gently sloping downward as I was dragged further.
So Alaric figures that it's a question and then an answer.
You know what it is. What is that? This is food. Okay.
Oh,
what is that? This is food.
Food. Yeah, exactly. Alaric, I can wait. Bogle, you will slide. And then we get to some super gross stuff like beehive mentality, I guess. They eventually leave the dirt.
Ants, but
ants, bees, maybe a little bit of both, maybe a little bit of both. And then some aliens, morph references too, I'm sure, maybe. They eventually leave the dirt and the rocks from the sliding, and it starts to turn into a wax-like material. Ghouls
It's
are
goo.
bees, ants. I wonder
where their queen is. That would be the flaw. I don't think there is a queen.
Yeah,
because ghouls will work differently, but we'll see.
We'll see
how this turns out.
So we learned that it's sticky wax stuff, and as Alaric is being dragged along through this waxy material, we see ghouls vomiting this disgusting pulp, and they mold it with their claws, and it starts to harden into this wax. So the ghouls are literally puking up their lair, and that's disgusting.
Was there a color given for the ghoul wax? I suspect it's either red or a sickly yellow. It's kind of the way it was described and the way it goes in the picture, it's kind of more of a browny red, like a little bit of yellow in there, but a browny red, like a sickly, like kind of dirt color.
Yeah, possibly.
Rotting, fetid flesh.
Yeah, we also go past their larder, or like their food supplies, I guess, where there's a bunch of dead bodies, and we see the ghouls chomping them up and spitting their bones out and everything else, and then they're putting them in these sacks. So I'm guessing it's like food storage.
They're sorting the corpses and breaking them apart, and it's like, this is the pile of arms, and the heads go here, and then the heads go over here. The ghoul fridge. The ghoul
fridge.
The
larder. The mound. I love the detail as they go further and further into the mound. And there's more ghouls around. The sound, it starts to tremble and move as if it's a living, breathing cave itself, which is wild. I love that. Like, you're literally going down a giant throat or something with the ghoul speech and everything else just reverberating off the walls. Eventually they enter an area full of honeycombs and nests. Did I mess up my notes here?
Nope, keep going.
Okay, so they enter an area full of honeycomb-like nests, the hive, if you will. Again, sort of that bee ant mentality here. And then they finally stop.
There's a reason for this.
Almost. And then they finally stop. And then we meet an old friend, and
he returns.
He returns.
Look who's come crawling to the ghouls.
Rick witnesses another fleshy, stringy, bacony ghoul crawling down the walls, and he meets Alaric upside down face to upside down face, and it's our old friend Falk.
I totally had a Spider-Man moment.
Oh no, I totally kiss me, Alaric.
If it isn't Alaric von Bella, Grand Inquisitor of the Ashes.
So we finally meet Falk again, and we get interesting back and forth on names and how, like, true names are still important. So Alaric says, once Falk says that line, Alaric is like,
that is not my name any longer, nor is it my title.
Oh? Give us your name, then.
I am Alaric the Damned.
So, you have learned your name at last.
I suppose you'll tell me you knew it all along.
We told you. We told you.
Bo calls this back, and that Bo is like, "Oh, vampire is distraught."
Yeah.
It's great. It's so good.
He brings it up as well. Bo starts clicking at Falk, and Falk is like, slow speech for our guests.
Yeah.
So what we talk, they consider slow speech.
Yeah.
So now we have two types of language.
Mm-hmm.
We have ghoul speak and slow speak.
So then we get a little bit more back and forth. So they start to conversate and talk about payment from the Lich. Amarak has sent me here, Alaric starts telling Falk, and then he wants a soul prism, and Bo and Falk are like, a big favor, a big payment.
Yeah. Big favor, big payment.
Yeah, we have never tasted vampire before. So, but Alaric, I love it. Alaric says, "Oh, the rituals," because he's been with Amarax for a month about now, so he kind of knows the in and outs of Deadhaus
Hey,
a little
Dennis.
bit. Oh, hey, Dennis, what's up? Cool, very cool. You've reached us at our like penultimate moment, Dennis.
Yes.
So we discover that Alaric says the rituals do not allow it for you to harm Deadhaus, and then Bo.
He says you can't. Yeah, you can't eat me. The rituals won't allow it. The rituals are for Deadhaus.
Rituals are for Deadhaus, which is great. And then vampires always lie. This is a lie. This one lies even to himself, says Falk. That. Yeah.
I just thought like the rituals are for Deadhaus. He's like, I'm here to help Deadhaus. You're here to help yourself.
Yeah,
it's like great. A brilliant back and forth because he keeps forgetting that Falk knows him. Falk has sat for weeks and months watching him, just
maybe even years,
because he thought. Don't forget, he thought the ghoul was an idiot.
Yeah,
he didn't. So he was doing everything completely not paying attention to the fact the ghoul was sitting watching and paying attention to everything.
Yeah. Then by this point, they have thrown him into a cage. I think, right?
No, they drag him down the corridor. He says, "This is no way to treat a guest." And
that's right.
Like, you're right.
Take our guest
to his suite. Yeah, I love the idea that the ghouls recognize what a suite is. I love that.
It's great. It's a great little detail. So then Alaric is like, I can walk to the suite, and Bo is like, you can slide. It's great. So then he gets to the suite, and he gets thrown into a cage, and it's the Dead Man's Cage, I believe is what it's called.
Dead Man's Iron.
Dead Man's Iron.
At Fort Serenus.
And it's the greatest callback. I love it. It's the greatest callback. So,
roundabout. Love it.
Roundabout. Full circle, baby. I love it.
After a time, the dragging ceased, and I was promptly seized by the chest and tossed like a sack of potatoes. I struck a metallic surface and rebounded to the waxen floor. Before I could right myself, I heard the sharp click of a metal latch close. I then realized I was in a cage. As I stepped forward and gripped the bars, I realized it wasn't just any cage.
Dead Man's Iron, specially crafted at Fort Serenus.
The ghoul lurched against its cage and hissed. You're very strong, but that's Dead Man's Iron. I had this cage specially crafted at Fort Serenus.
Alaric gets thrown into the cage that he threw Falk in way back when. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. And Falk keeps questioning him, and Alaric says, I'm going to destroy Deadhaus, but first I'm going to destroy the Awakened. And then I'm going to come for all of you. And Falk says, I love it. Falk says, the truth shall set you free. You can be free inside the cage.
It says, the truth, the greatest 3 lines ever. The truth will set you free. Then let me out of this cage. No, you can be free inside the cage.
And then the ghouls, I love the ending of this because it's the ghouls must sing and together decide, bringing back in the whole sonata aspect of Deadhaus Sonata. Is just
can't wait for that.
Good.
What does that mean? Like the ghouls must sing. You know, what do you want yet? We haven't decided. You know, we need to figure out what exactly we want. The ghouls must sing, and then we'll decide. It's like, more info on ghoul culture.
Yeah.
And their whole life and how they exist. So now we know that the ghouls have their own language. They have ghoul speak. They refer to ours as slow speak. There's clearly different types. They do have a system. They're not just rabid things that roam the wilderness, because you see them organizing things. They are communicating back and forth when Bo is dragging Alaric through, like they're talking back and forth, like, what is this? What are you doing? They're organizing corpses. So they're not just mindlessly devouring everything. There is an organization to what they're doing. And then they must sing to decide what they're doing. So they're like, whereas they said, as Amarak said, ghouls, they're barely sentient. They're clearly a lot more sentient than he gives them credit for.
Ghoul lore. Bo is a ghoul comedian. Ghoul lore was the best part of this. I already knew parts of the Deadhaus lore. Yeah, I love seeing ghoul lore. I love it. Because Dennis is here. Hopefully he's still here. Dennis, are the ghouls and their society, because I got very like xenomorph alien kind of vibes from this. Are they based off of or inspired by bees, ants, and or like xenomorph mentality for this?
Did Geiger base xenomorphs off
Did
ants?
he?
Or am I imagining that? I
I
thought there
don't
was
know.
something about it. Or was it termites? There was something I
Something
remember.
like that, some bug-like species. Because I mean, the queen in Aliens 2, she's like a giant spider thing. So I don't know, but
It's like a
it's very,
termite queen, actually. Very
yeah,
much like a termite queen.
could be,
Or an ant queen, I guess, if you want to
or
go
an
that
ant.
way.
Either way,
I'm,
it's
I'm
still kind of
unsure.
gross. But no, I love that. Is see now that's the other thing. Alaric doesn't mention this, that the marks on Falk's head, where the mark on Falk's head when he was imprisoned by Alaric, something Amarax did to keep their bond so you can't kill Alaric and eat him, or is the mark significant in ghoul society? Is Falk a leader? Is Falk a leader of the ghouls? Do the ghouls have a leader?
That's interesting.
All right.
Combination of many things, different in many ways. More revealed in the next episode. There, you heard it here first, folks. Another bean from Dennis. More in the next episode in Ghoul Culture.
Thanks for the answer, Dennis. Thank you so much.
I feel like with the ghouls, I think the marks on the head are probably more related to the being a ghoul thing than the Amarax thing, because I don't think a lich would be allowed to mark another one.
Yeah,
because they're already very pissy with Amrex as it is for violating this, that, and the other, and doing all these issues. So I think, but as you said, is he some type of leader? Is he relevant or of some like major importance? Do the ghouls have their own structure?
Yeah, because if you think about it,
Bo's something. He's clearly some type of tank warrior.
Yeah, clearly
thing.
I wonder. Oh, that's another question. Dennis, is me and Mike speculated that Bo kind of has like predator bone armor on. Is that accurate? That it's like sort of predator-ish kind of bone armor,
like the predator mask.
Because like it's very like medieval sort of, I don't know, armor, I guess.
Calypso's theory is he's wearing bone armor. I reckon.
Yeah, my theory is he's like wearing bone armor because like his bones have grown around his body, so he's just turned into his armor. It's his body, but it's armor. Big old tank. I forgot to.
You get a good idea from that from the artwork, because the artwork.
Yeah, no, I do.
Now, this is kind of like a new style of the way it's going, and from what Dennis has said and what people have talked about in the Discord afterwards, we were like, for anyone that doesn't know, when these episodes go live, we have a little bit of a discussion afterwards in the Discord for anyone who wants to jump in and have a chat. But when Dennis was discussing it, they were talking about they really like this art style and want to have it going forward. To be revealed in the future. There we go.
Okay, thank you, Dennis. Thank you.
Master of suspense. There always is like really good question. We'll get later.
I'm so bummed. I always keep missing the after episode things because I wanted to ask George who the voice actor for Bo was.
Oh, we have that.
Oh, we do. Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
great.
I'll find that for you. Give me a second.
Because Bo did a great job. I loved Bo. I thought he was a great little kid. See, that's the other thing. If you can make a character.
So all of our characters, we've got, just to give a shout out to everyone, Alaric is voiced by George Ledoux. Mm-hmm. We've got Falk Ghoul is voiced by our favorite Matthew Curtis, who we've had on a little while ago, and we've had George on. We need to get George back on again. And Bo Ghoul is voiced by Damon Allums. So,
all right.
Shout out to Damon Allums. You are a legend, sir. That is amazing. You knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, great job.
Incredible.
Like, you can make character. That's like, I don't know if it's a testament to characterization or just how ghouls are, I guess, but Bo is an instant likable character right off the bat.
If anyone else was reading those, they'd read them and you could see, like, if you read those lines just like reading the words out loud, they would be very, very flat. He put like tone and feeling and vibrance into the where you could hear him, like when he says, and he just delivers it completely blatantly, like vampire is distraught. Like the way he's got it is like as a kind of a middle finger up to what you just said to me earlier. You think I'm an idiot, I love that. It was brilliant.
Yeah, I love it. It's great. It's so good. But it makes me, I don't know, it makes me wonder, because like he's like, oh, I'm here to see Falk. I know Falk, like me and Falk are buddies, right? But then Bo takes him to Falk. So is that just because Bo only taking Alaric to Falk because that's what Alaric said, or is Falk important within Ghoul society?
Oh yeah, was he going to be dragging him that way anyway? So
anyway, exactly.
Yeah.
Like here. Oh, also here is our montage of Ghoul society. Also,
Could it be like a chieftain or a priest?
Yeah,
or
that's what I'm
within
thinking.
The
Could he
ghouls or
be?
something
Is that
like
a thing?
Is there ghoul priests like within their own separate little culture? Because I'd imagine every one of these creatures have their own ways and means about them. Like the liches have their own way of doing things. The vampires have their own structure for doing things.
Mhm.
Why wouldn't the ghouls?
Yeah, like even though I do like that that even though ghouls are they're also sort of separated from Deadhaus. Like we know that liches just don't care because they only care about knowledge. So even though they're a part of Deadhaus, they don't really
They help out at Deadhaus
they help
incidentally.
Incidentally, they help out. Ghouls
helps
only do it for the food, essentially.
That was the cool thing
battles.
when they mentioned the shambling hordes, that like the ghouls follow the
They just
shambling
follow,
hordes as a way for scraps, and then other ghouls found out that it's actually better to help engage in the combat because you get more food, and the revenants throw straight survivors.
Here. No, I love it. The way I pictured this was,
here you go.
You know that cartoon where a dog is like walking and then he has the brush on his tail and he's just brushing his footprints away in the snow or something. That's what I pictured the ghouls are for the battlefield, for the shambling horde. Like they're just brushing the footprints of the bodies.
They're cleaning up the carrion.
It's great,
like
dude.
They're cleaning up the carrion, like crows and all
just
that.
Faster.
Yeah.
Just faster. And more brutal. And probably cooler. Like, oh man, just imagine a big old battle, like a post-battle scene. Everyone is dead. And you have the liches like just bringing more people back to life. You have the revenants, crushing like some dudes, like the final bystanders' heads, throwing those bodies to the ghouls, and then off in the distance, like just echoing throughout the battlefield, you hear like, how.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great imagery.
And then you'll also hear like the idea of when you see in like movies based on medieval battles, the guys walking along, sticking them with the sword to make sure everyone's dead, even if they're lying wounded, as a mercy killing or whatnot. And meanwhile, the ghouls are just literally going in, like vacuuming up things, like eating, tearing off limbs, and going. And it's like, oh, this one's still like. Calling a lich. This one's still kind of intact. You could probably bring this one back onto home.
Yeah. We need to save some for storage. And then they just pack them all up in a sack or something. That's great.
There'd be a mountain of them. They're very strong, because that was one of the comments that Alaric made. Remember, the ghoul pinned him down and kind of grabbed him
even
by
though
the arms
he looks
and
like a little dude, like he took out a cellar of like 12 dudes.
I have a feeling for a substantial member of Deadhaus, though, that probably wouldn't have been an issue. Like if you took a revenant or a wraith and all like that, I don't think 12 awakened citizens, like they're not even like anything powerful. They're literally just like awakened. So they're still humans. They're just like with their minds and stuff like that. 12 humans to a ghoul, like you probably just cut through each of them. With those claws, like no problem.
My mistake. It was 14.
Or what was it? Is like, are they dead? It's like they will bother you no more.
Yeah. Oh man, it's so good. And then Falk is such a good character. Falk and Bo. I need more Falk and Bo. I need the rest of the season to just be Alaric chilling out with the ghouls in their society.
With that new artwork now, because some of that artwork looks badass. I really like, the very first one. It's like an iconic cool image. I'm waiting. Okay, so who's the first person to get that tattoo? Because that looks like something you could get done as a tattoo. I'm like, that's gonna happen.
Oh yeah, so sick tattoo.
I know people say that. Oh, why would they do that? Watch.
Oh yeah, no, people are gonna be getting the Deadhaus symbol, the logo, the weird alchemy.
Ghouls are the best characters from Sundowner. Yep. He's been calling that for years.
Oh yeah.
He believes in ghoul supremacy.
I think, it's weird. See, now I wonder. We know ghouls are smart. We know that Amarax underestimates ghouls because they play it stupid. Like, do they play it stupid for everyone though, so they understand? Think Lovecraft when thinking ghoul culture as well. Oh, okay.
Ooh, there's a bean.
Ooh, okay.
There's one for y'all. Think Lovecraft when you're thinking ghoul culture.
Oh, Oh, okay. Thanks, Dennis. Okay. Very cool. Very cool. See, now I just want to bombard Dennis with questions, but we can do that another time. Dennis, we got to get you back for another interview at some point, man.
We will. Alaric, as the main vampire character, is really winning the ghoul vampire war for the ghouls. Oh, don't worry. I'm sure Alaric won't be the only vampire we get to talk to.
No, I'm sure there'll be more.
Because there's a lot of adventures to come for Alaric, because like as Dennis said, this season is going to be a lot longer than the other seasons. So we're getting more episodes and it'll be very interesting. For sure. Would love to do one. Yes, Dennis, we will talk. I will be getting you back on here again.
Cool. Thanks. Yeah, dude, Dennis, it's been too long, and I've been replaying Eternal Darkness, and I have 1,000 questions.
Not the only one, Calypso. Not the only one. Yeah, but we've had Dennis on every season, so we need to have him on this season, because we haven't had him on this season yet. He did it because it's always nice to get updated and all like that. Plus, I think there's a lot of picking we want to do with the lore.
Oh yeah, definitely.
They get Varric on, because I know Varric would love to be able to come on.
Yeah, we got to get Varric back now too. And we got to get after we have to. I still want to get George, if you're listening, Matt, everyone. I want to have Jack or even someone from the community write up a really quick, like short 3-minute skit with all the characters and just have them, like a Seinfeld episode or something, but it's George and everyone else voice acting as their characters. I think that'd be great.
Didn't we say that in one of these before? We need to
I think every episode I've been trying to bring this up.
Get George having, what was this, Matt and Chris and Damon now. Like we can get these people. Like, could you imagine if we could get these people into one room just for like 15 minutes to just talk on that, to just in character? It'd be hilarious.
Be great. And we could just have it be let's cut it down to 15 minutes. Heck, I would even do it as a pre-recorded post thing. And we just as a special, okay, that's an idea. As a special like Deadhaus tribute for launch or whenever that is, release a 15-minute short skit, and it's comedy and it's funny of just all the characters doing their thing. Like maybe they're sitting around a table and it's like a coffee break, right?
One of the cooler parts of this episode as well is the way the lore was explained at the start. I like how we dripped in game mechanics into the lore. I love that with the waystones and lore stones.
Yeah,
that was one of my key parts at the start of this.
That's another thing. I had this idea, Dennis. If the waystones, it says here in the lore that they take you to Malorum, they take you out of Malorum and go to other places. If you kind of Nightmare Before Christmas it for the waystones, and each one leading to each different place is a different color or like element. So if
a different type of portal. So if you were going to Novasol, it would be fire. And, a fire portal. Whereas if you're going to Rowena, the way it's like foggy mist or something like that.
Something like that. I think that'd be sweet for that way you'd be able to distinguish, this one goes to Deadhaus, this one goes
what was Tim's idea that you wanted? We said for the item shop, he's like the loading screens when you go through the loading screen when you go through the Waystone. He wants the Stargate portal like visual effects. I'm like, that sounds like something you could buy in the item shop.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
Those level of customizations I think will be very easy to do. Anything like that. That'd be really cool.
Definitely. See, I want to ask Dennis about the Darklight Enclave, but then I want to wait too,
What, MI6 or DHI6 or
DHI6,
yeah. The Secret Service. The undead Secret Service. No, wait, not undead. Dead.
No, dead, yeah. They're
they're not undead. Erased. They're dead. Just like the idea of it's going to be like absolutely hilarious. I do think the more of this lore comes out, the people are going to start leaning harder into their classes and all like that. And
I'm leaning towards Team Ghoul now, specifically because of this. I'm leaning.
I'm waiting to see we get some information to lean into Team Wraith, because they're the one class we seem to know the least about.
Yeah, See, and I still, because what, the chains rattle every time a wraith is around, right?
Not always, only when they're physical. Remember when Alaric,
right,
when that one went after Alaric, it was just like a floating, as you put it, it was like a tunic. It was like a floating tunic that had like fallen off a clothesline. And then it manifested itself. And that's when he heard the chains and the eerie sound and all like that. And it's like, that's a, oh crap.
I wonder.
That's the oh no sound.
Are we going to learn what the Pale Doctrine is? Is that?
Oh, definitely. We have to get that from the Death's Head Coven.
Yeah.
We're definitely going to have to learn about the Pale Doctrine, although we've a good part of it already, because I have a feeling it's a lot of the stuff that's in the Necro. Yeah. And basically, don't kill each other. Don't violate Deadhouse's rules. We just need the list of what the rules are now. But it's you're not allowed to harm each other. I'm assuming you're not allowed to betray Deadhouse, or it will. Yeah. Whatever the will of our great Alalmot is.
Yeah, see, there's just so many questions, but I know they will all be answered in time.
In time, Kane. As Varric loves saying, in time, Kane. Next time.
And I think that perfectly wraps it up for this episode of Deadhaus Whispers. Thank you all for listening. Thank you, Dennis, for being here for the very last.
Thank you for dropping in, sir.
Thank you for dropping in. And I've been Calypso, and I'll throw all the social media stuff in at the very end. Don't worry.
We'll have to still make sure we make sure we give all our nice little shout outs. Don't forget, if you are following us on YouTube, you can also follow us on Twitch at twitch.tv/Deadhaus Whispers. Make sure to visit the official website for Deadhaus Sonata, which is deadhaussonata.com. You can follow Calypso on Twitter at the Necro Libriatus. You can follow myself, Faceless Mike, on Twitter at the Faceless Mike. Make sure to check Twitter's official Deadhaus page for at Deadhaus Game. Follow us on Twitter for when I remember to update it for at Deadhaus Whispers. And we also have an Instagram, which is at Deadhaus Whispers. And also, if you are on Twitch or you hear this later on Spotify, Apple, or anywhere else, don't forget to check us out at youtube.com/at Deadhaus Whispers. And you will be able to find all of the social connections for Deadhaus Sonata on deadhaussonata.com.
Yes. And that's it for that. So fight the living, everybody, and we will see you in the next one.
See you.
Thank you. Much appreciation from us, yes, for listening to Deadhaus Whispers.
Ah, yes, thank you for listening to Deadhaus Whispers with Faceless Mike and Calypso. They're lovely people. Don't forget to like and subscribe, or I'll find you.
Hello, fellow fans of Deadhaus. Follow Deadhaus Whispers, or else.
From the creator of Legacy of Kain and Eternal Darkness, Deadhaus Sonata is a narrative-driven action RPG in which you take the role of the undead and fight against the living. Visit us at www.deadhaussonata.com for updates on development. That's Deadhaus Sonata.com.